Everybody, and welcome back to the SaaSberry AI podcast. Today we're joined by Chris and Brooks. We'll be talking about doing more with the same size team. Today's subject is working smarter, not harder. So Chris, take it away.
SaaSberry AI podcast. Today's guest, Brooks Wood. Doing more with the same size of team. Today's subject is working smarter, not harder.
Thanks, Chace. With AI, people always say, hey, we're going to reduce headcount. That's what the media says. And Brooks and I want to have just an open dialogue discussion around how it's about doing more with the same size team. It's not about reducing headcount. It's about, what you just said, Chace, working smarter, not harder. And so I want to introduce Brooks Wood, though. He hasn't been on any of our podcasts before. We're so lucky to have Brooks. Brooks started working with SaaSberry around a month ago. He's got over 24 years experience in developing and leading innovative solutions for business challenges. He's a fractional CTO, and like I introduced Steve Bowie, as well as I'm going to Brooks, he's a fractional CAIO. We're in the business of helping organizations drive AI strategies to roll out agentic AI, and we're just lucky to have Brooks as part of our team now. So thank you, Brooks, for attending today. I thought, why don't we open up? When I talked to you earlier this week, you said, what kind of subject should we do? And it was you that said, let's really share our story around doing more with the same. So where do you want us to go from here? I'm going to show some demos of some examples of how SaaSberry's already helped people do that. But high level, what did you mean when you first brought that up with me, Brooks?
Well, so there's so much talk about, first of all, thank you all. Glad to be here. But there's so much talk about AI taking jobs, and it's been in the news. There's been lots of layoffs. I tend to think that a lot of the layoffs in the tech companies is more to do with just a reason to shrink headcount. AWS had a major outage a couple of weeks ago, and you look at the snarky comments on the internet, and it's because they laid off 1,400 people in AWS, and then they have the largest outage they've ever had. So to me, it's not about AI taking jobs. I think it's about AI augmenting people or humans to do more with the same. It's not do more with less, it's do more with the same. And I've spent the last year cleaning up AI slop-based projects, right? So people are like, oh, I can use AI to build out this piece of software. And they get 3/4 of the way through and they realize this isn't going to work. And then that's where I come in. So I think AI is going to create more jobs, not less. And it's not going to reduce people. It's going to make people smarter.
Well, I don't know if you've read the Gartner report this week that came out. And, again, in the media, and Brooks and I are a part of a mastermind group that we meet every week. It's AI innovators from around the world. And a lot of them aren't working in the corporate environments that Brooks and I are on a regular basis. So a lot of things don't apply. But there still is that fear out there, job loss, job loss, job loss. And when I read the Gartner report earlier this week, it was refreshing because their predictions indicate by the year 28, 29, AI will create more jobs than it eliminates, with over 32 million roles being transformed significantly each year. This transformation will affect all knowledge worker jobs. And as AI is infused into business and IT processes, everything's going to change. And we had a recent discussion also even on schooling, how the kids need to be taught differently to be able to be ready for these jobs that haven't even been really announced yet, that are evolving with this new AI approach, right? So when Brooks, when you and I talk to our customers, and I think that, and I was saying to Steve yesterday, I really want to focus around future use case discussions in the finance side of things. The ones we're going to show you today and the ones that we've been building are pretty cool, right? And I think that it needs to still go back to these CFOs and CEOs to say, look, we can make a direct result on savings versus, doing the more with same type of approach. And not because one doesn't do the savings to the business as the other, but the CFOs and the CEOs are the ones cutting the checks. So if we can go into their finance, and I believe you and Steve are working on a project right now, that's a great example of how they're going to be able to take weeks of work and summarize that in a matter of minutes or at least a day to be able to provide the report on what direction that organization can go when it comes to investing in certain organizations. And that's a great example of huge impact, financial returns that are measurable for a CFO. But today, the ones we're going to show are just end users in the organization. I'm going to show you the one we built for that gold mining company that has only 3 mechanics that has to manage and maintain a fleet of over 5,000 gas-powered vehicles. Chace, you want me to go into bringing that up right now, and then Brooks and I can just kind of talk about how this has helped that organization, or where do you want us to go?
Sure, we could do that. But I just wanted to add to the job loss thing. I do see a lot of news articles like all the time where it'll be like the headline like 600,000 jobs are going to be lost from AI, or like for this example is the big one last week was Amazon's going to have robots replace all the packagers. So like I agree with you guys, but what's like the challenge when it comes to like those news articles or like robots doing the packaging? Like how can we argue with that one? Just wondering what you guys' thoughts on the big articles that have come out.
So I think it's like this. I think it's a tough stretch to say this, but we're in the industrial revolution. So from the 1900s, the 1890s, the 1900s. During that time period, there were people that shoveled up manure for horses. Those people's jobs are gone due to cars. There were lamp lighters that were lighting lampposts outside. Those are gone due to electricity. There were also people that would wake you up instead of an alarm clock. Those jobs are gone because of electricity. So we're in that period now. AI it's probably more transformative than electricity, although it's kind of tough to say right now. We'll see where that ends up going. Yes, that threatens things initially. So initially there will be jobs lost, but as the knowledge increases, jobs will sure be gained because there's going to need to be somebody to fix these robots when they break. Maybe the robots will fix themselves in the future and create themselves in the future, but there's still going to be some need for human thought in the process that we have to look at.
Yeah, Brooks, you nailed it. Chace, in the late 90s, early 2000s, I was part of a company and we were a system integrator and we focused on the legal market. So we basically were an outsourced IT team for these law firms. One of the offerings that I sold was, we're going to sell you a tape library for backing up your data. And so it was a great big fridge that had all these huge tape cartridges that went in it. And I didn't just sell the appliance, I sold a person that sat there 40 hours a week, just pulling out a tape, putting a new tape in. And at the end of the day, she would then take the final tapes, put them into a briefcase, take it to Iron Mountain for storage in a safe, fireproof environment. Today's world, everyone would be like, what? Like you actually sold a person just doing tapes exchange with the cloud and everything being backed up. But that's an example of what Brooks said, like before electricity, someone every night had to go and light all those gas-powered lights along the streets. So it's not eliminating jobs. It's replacing jobs that are not needed anymore with new jobs that are. So that's the big differentiator. So yeah. The old tape library people, your job's gone. But you know what? We need someone that's going to be repairing the robots that Amazon has in their warehouses, or building the warehouses, or building the electricity and the backup generators and all the power and everything else, right? I mean, Chace, I know that your cousins are, one of them's an electrician, one of them's a plumber. Those are in big demand. And we don't see in the next 10 years those jobs being eliminated. We're seeing there are more and more tradespeople required to build the data centers, to manage all the power that's going to be required to manage these AI data centers. So it's not eliminating a job; it's removing a job that's not required anymore and replacing it with one that is. So,
yeah, I agree. I think robots are a little different from the AI that we're talking about today, though. The AI where it's going to be working but like staying the same, like you guys said. So I guess in that case, we can talk about the AI agents that we're talking about today and show some examples.
Yeah, I want to talk, and Brooks, I want to tell you how this opportunity first came. So Brooks has been with SaaSberry for maybe a month and a half, two months now. But earlier this year, I reached out to a CIO that I knew from a previous life, and I told him that we were all in on agentic AI building for corporations like his. And he put me to his director of AI, and we had a phone call with a foreman of the general manager of one of their open pit mines. It's actually one of the biggest gold mine open pits in the world. And it just happened to be a bad moment for that general manager where I said, you want to help me? I have 3 mechanics managing and maintaining over 5,000 gas-powered vehicles, and we can't keep up. This equipment every year is a new manufacturer, new model, and our people are just being pulled in every direction. Figure out how to help me with that, and you'll make my life a lot easier. And that's what we did. On the screen here, you'll see it's called Lookup Agent, but this is really for the fleet of gas-powered vehicles that this gold mine has in place. And in the old traditional way, the phone would ring to the mechanic. The mechanic would say, where are you? He'd hop in his truck. He'd drive down the open pit, come up to the broken down piece of machinery, and then he would start documenting, maybe with a pen and pencil, the serial number, and he would go back to his trailer and start researching make, model, parts, et cetera, et cetera. And so we built this agent that can be used on a cell phone, tablet, whatever it is. Remember, these are mechanics. They're not tech innovators. They're not really even tech savvy. So this needs to be really easy to use. But our thoughts behind it was, what if we gave them all of the information that they manually have to look up in that trailer that they can't stand doing and have it available in a matter of seconds from a device? So picture you're down there now in the pit and you say, yeah, I want to just take a picture of the part. And I'm gonna put that in here, and you're gonna see it doing an image scan right now. And it's gonna analyze this image and try to manage that. This is live, so it's taking a little bit while, but think about what they would have had to done before. They would have gone through paper-based service catalogs or Googling to try to find the answers. In a lot of cases, even going to YouTube, how do I replace a crankshaft? And you'll see the lookup agent matched the image, identified what it is, and then basically came back with all this summary information about that and direct links to the product catalog right to the page that one's set at. So again, and Brooks, I'll pause here to stop, but this now just is a great example of what you said, doing more with the same, getting the answers immediately. So I'll pause there and get your feedback on other type of case study or use cases that could even come from this that are endless at a gold mine site.
Well, I think what we're suffering from right now is in the next few years, there's going to be so many less senior level workers out of the workforce. 10,000 people a day are retiring. There's not nearly enough people behind them to fill these jobs, and there's already people that are not filling those knowledge gaps. So having a senior level person available at any point in time to be able to get through this is certainly necessary. And I would look at this as that way, right? Like this is a senior level mechanic that's giving you information to a mechanic that may not be as senior level, or maybe they are, but they just don't want to have to lug around a bunch of material. I mean, to me, this is the perfect scenario of that. I've worked with other companies where they have people that have retired that they pull back, paying them way more now, just to fill the knowledge. And depending on the vertical of where they are, like gold mining, there's probably not a ton of people out there that are like, hey, I want to go out and work in open pit mines, right? I'd rather go sit in a cushy office job, and work remotely, right?
You nailed it again. The hierarchy there was their lead mechanic has been there for a decade at that gold mine, very experienced, very familiar with everything at the gold mine. The third mechanic, it was only there for 3 months, okay? And he was what we'll call the junior mechanic. So we've got the senior, intermediate, and junior mechanic maintaining this. Now, knowledge transfer, while we built this, and I'm going to tell you, we built this in 3 sprints. So 6 weeks after we were engaged, their mechanics had this on their phones to use. But once they started using this, they started realizing this is a game changer. The mechanics themselves don't want to go back to the trailer and do manual lookups. They want to be fixing and getting that machinery back into production. That's the stuff they love to do, not research and paperwork. And so where the chief mechanic said, what is the possibility that every time me or my two other mechanics do any repairs, we just record from our telephone the repair and upload it into YouTube so that we can now reference that. If, for example, this crankshaft was replaced a year ago, it will actually bring up the YouTube video for them to look, and said, absolutely. So that's another data repository that came up from the mechanic that can also maybe handle the type of skill set from retirement to some of the younger guys. If they can actually see the senior person that was there a decade fix that piece of equipment via video, now makes them more independent rather than dependent on these people that want to retire. So just to even take this further, what they want to do is be able to have this tied into their distribution systems, so that if a mechanic is down in the field, take a picture of the broken part with the serial number, make, and model, the part's ordered from their phone before they even get back to that trailer. And they're telling the person down in the pit, look, it's going to be here tomorrow morning. I'll be back and I'll replace the part and we'll get this thing back up and running. So it's just endless on how we can keep going there. And it doesn't stop there. Like these are basic questions that we can start asking it. Like, how do I replace the engine in the vehicle, the engine compartment? I can start typing that out right now, and it's going to start guiding the people. And we can start just building this smarter and smarter and more enhanced as time goes on. So this is a great example of doing more with the same.
And, and the thing is that there's so much fear around AI, right? That having these older mechanics actually using this and then saying they want to do more with it, I think is just a huge kudos to how well that app was built out for them to actually want to use it, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because that was our version 1, and version 1 was built in January of this year. So that is 10 and a half months ago we built this. And I was saying to someone, and the one I'm about to show you, the evolution of that lookup agent for the mines evolved into the marine vessel industry, specific to vessels that a customer of ours has. And we built version 1 10 months ago, but it seems like 10 years ago with technology. And so in 1999, when the .com was starting, the internet was coming, it did take 10 years before we could really do cost-effective e-commerce solutions. In 10 months, the capability of these agents have done what we used to see over a decade in less than 1 year. So this is the version that we recently completed. And now this is particularly around just marine vessels. They've got a fleet of 10 vessel ships. Each vessel has a captain and a chief engineer. That's standard practice on the water. The captains were actually power users of AI tools. They were using GPT, whatever it is. And that's what the sponsor was, to go to their leadership team and saying, hey, we need to do more with AI. And this organization would buy ships used and retrofit them for their business. The particular boat that we did the first version of this on was a boat that was bought out of Europe. So all of its electrical components were in Euro standards. So you can't just go down to a Home Depot or a Rona down here and buy a plug. Every plug's differently. All of the electronic compartments are differently. So they really had a challenge, or have a challenge, when this ship has a problem. Now, same thing like the original one that I showed you. You can type it in, and we've got some chats that are cached in here now. This can all be voice enabled, so you do not have to type this. If you're in a very loud engine room, it has noise capabilities to actually put out the background and allow the engineer or captain to speak directly into it, where it can start troubleshooting. But with this last chat that we had here, let me just warm it up because this is live. There's an example. If I take this in right now, we have an oil leak from the engine. Please help. What's different about this one is this could mean big trouble to them if it's searching the public domain and bringing answers back from the public domain that are for different boats, vessels, ships, or trains, or whatever it is. It really puts a risk for an organization that you're getting the wrong information. This particular one, it's only pulling answers from the data that we ingested into the RAG around this agent. So you know everything that it's pulling for is just for this boat. This organization has 10 vessels. Sorry, I'm not allowed to call them boats because they're not boats. These are ships. These are vessels. They have 10. All 10 are different. So we can't mix and match the data without possibly jeopardizing something bad happening within that organization. And I'll quote that CEO saying to us, I don't want any first ands burning down these damn boats, so they better make sure that they're just getting information for that particular vessel. We have an oil leak from the engine, please help. This is pulling it from their service catalogs and their maintenance. Please show a technical diagram of the engine. It's grabbing the technical diagram from the references of the data that's in there, pull it up, there's the CAD drawings and everything about that particular ship. So I'll pause right now because this is an unbelievable version. And again, 10 months ago from version 1 for the gold mine versus this one for the vessels, game changer on capability. I can only imagine what it's going to be like by this time next year. So Brooks, what are you thinking when it comes to this? Because this was a captain of a vessel pushing this to his leadership team saying, I need more AI.
So, I mean, immediately what I think of is kind of what you teed this up with, was that you're a bunch of European standards and a bunch of, North American mechanics, right? And what a huge, just not only massive language barrier, but there's just tools that you need to make sure you have in inventory and stock, right? And if you're trying to read schematics in different language, that just leads to a bunch of problems. But being able to just pull stuff immediately and looking at it gives you way more confidence. And then again, kudos to the stickiness of the app. A vessel captain, right? A ship captain is the one that's asking for AI, not the kind of person you would expect to even be asking this stuff, right? You're expecting tech workers, college kids, right? The ones, high school students, the people that are, technology native, right? Using this, not a ship captain. But when you pulled up the demo you just did, I mean, you look at that and it's incredible to see how easy you can pull that information up and how quickly. And if you start thinking about how much longer it probably took them just to pull up what you just did, it probably was hours, right? For them to locate the right manual, get to the right page, get out some kind of pocket translator, talk to tech support. And when these parts on these vessels break, they need them like same day or next day. Yeah. So getting that information as soon as possible to order it is just a whole other phenomenon, right? Like an anchor could be broken, or like some thruster on the side of the vessel that helps them dock properly could be broken. I mean, there's just so many things that can go wrong. And it's just so to me, I'd imagine everybody that's using this app feels like this is a necessity and they could not live without it.
So that's how it's evolved. They actually thought that with just the AI tool that they subscribed to before, GBT. And now that it's exclusive to their vessel, only the captain and the chief engineer have access to that boat for this information. Nobody else is allowed to fix it without the captain or the chief engineer's thumbs up. I've also struggled recently about going to the back of this, the engine of the app itself that we built. Everything's about agents. Well, you'll see here where it's please create a technical flow diagram that helps me understand the fuel system connecting the engine. This is created on the fly. So this use case on vessel, ship, maintenance, and repair isn't one agent. And a month ago, Brooks, you're friends with Susan Yu, like I am. Her brother was on one of our podcasts. They don't call it agents, but out here we still call it agents. This is multimodal agentic to accomplish the use case needs. And so it can create on the fly a diagram of the fuel system or the bilge pump system or anything that someone may want to know. And if someone that doesn't have the Entra credentials to get into this app, it will decline them and not let them in. So only the captain, only the chief engineer, and it can just keep going on. The fuel flow sequence, putting everything in there, references to that information. It just goes on and on and on about that. And again, future versions now, they want to integrate this into their maintenance apps that they have on these ships. They want to look at integrating this into Canada Transport because they get random audits, and if something that Canada Transport or finds, their boat can't leave the dock, and then that's costing the organization huge money. And when we had the captain test this, he started asking things that were outside of what our goal was. Like, oops, okay, here I go again. One of the cool things about this app too is, it's pulling answers from all the data they gave our team to put into the system. And you can talk, Brooks, about RAG and all that other stuff better than I can. But the future versions of this, they want to integrate this into their maintenance software, where it can actually have the maintenance software proactively reaching out to this agent, providing more data for the captain and the engineer. The captain told us and his leadership team that he did a test. He was supposed to take the vessel out and go through to the Vancouver Island, which is around an hour and a half drive from Richmond by water. And this agent actually, this agentic solution actually responded saying, try leaving port an hour earlier because of tides. So it's not just a tool to purely understand part maintenance and repairs. It can also be used to help them with latest weather situations, wind conditions on the water, and provide proactive information to the captain so he can be better enabled to make better decisions when he's leaving port or charting his voyage. So great example of, again, doing more with the same. Their fleet of team has not changed at all. Their answers and response times to get things resolved on that boat have just dramatically reduced. And these guys, those boats bill out at a very large dollar. We built this in 4 sprints in 2 months. In 2 months, this was rolled out. And so the cost for us to build this is basically 1 hour of dock time for this boat. So huge return on investment. As I mentioned, future versions are going to be tied into their maintenance or repair. Future versions, maybe they even want to start doing YouTube videos like the gold mining company wanted to do. But it really is endless, and they can start doing proactive things in the next phase of this version. In fact, they want us to look at rolling it out to their entire fleet. And now we're engaged with their organization on the finance side to look on how we can help them better with proactively when they come to retrofitting some of these boats and ships and so on.
Well, and you mentioned RAG, and so I'll just talk through that for one second.
Please do.
Just like people don't know what HTTP or HTTPS means, RAG doesn't really matter what it means. It just means that at this point, it's a technology that allows, this is a large language model type of AI, to have context of information that it focuses on. And that focus kind of keeps it on some rails so it doesn't sort of veer to the left or the right and do what people like to call hallucinating. I don't really like that word. I think hallucinations are really more just the AI being creative and trying to come up with information because it wasn't told, right? It wasn't guided. It's like talking to a 5-year-old without, them having context. So when you look at these LLMs, this is like talking to a PhD level person that has infinite amounts of the entire internet at his disposal, but giving it the focus, the RAG gives it the focus so that you can count on the information that it's given. And there's so much fear constantly out there about, AI makes things up. It definitely does, but it's all about how you ask the question and not only asking the question, but giving it relevant information to that question so that it has the right proper response.
Yeah, it is interesting because so many people aren't like, when I started building out this practice 10, 11 months ago, I thought people were just going to be lining up because of these use cases. And so many people are like reluctant to start, which is a little mind-boggling, because this isn't really rocket science. This is a very simple tool. Again, going back to the theme, doing more with same, allowing a mechanic or a captain be more efficient, do things quicker and faster. And this is, again, look at this description of this question. Can you provide me the technical details for this crane? Instantly it's pulling out all the information. I can start saying, can I source out parts for this? And it would then scour the public domain and try to find the parts, and then even say to me, do you want to create a PO? They want to also tie this into their distribution model. But these guys sometimes buy off of eBay, off of Amazon, because they have no other choice. They can't just walk down to Home Depot and get these parts. Here's another one, Brooks, and I don't know if I've shown you this one. This one's an interesting one because an organization was saying that HR was constantly chasing employees that had a workplace incident, an injury. And they were chasing them because the employees weren't filling out the proper paperwork. Okay. And when we looked at what that paperwork required it was a very, very lengthy report that they had to do in order to inform the organization, insurance, and everything else of what happened. And what their employees started to do was just going back to the HR and saying, forget about it. I didn't even get hurt. I don't even want to have anything, because they'd rather say that the injury was not a big deal than it was to fill out the incident report for their organization. Well, those organizations need those reports filled out. So this is a tool that was built in 2 sprints in 30 days that will do the report and walk the injured employee through step by step, assuring that they filled it out accurately, quickly, and doing it right there on the spot. So this one is a voice. So imagine if we're at a construction site and something's broken. I just basically trip and fall and hurt myself. Nothing big deal, but maybe I got a stitch or something like that. I can then start by just opening up the app and then speaking into it down here. For our sake, I'm going to just refresh this here because this is live. But I'm going to cut and paste the incident. Yes, help me with an incident report. Do you have incident photos? I actually do. I'm sorry if this is going to, hopefully I don't have to put them on the screen here, because I'm just going to try this one because it's not too bad. This one. Open. Are you doing? Yes, I'm done with all the photos. Okay. This is where I could speak into it. I'm just going to cut and paste. On October 27th at approximately 7 a.m., employee John Smith sustained injuries. So just from putting this information in here, it's going to do the report for them. And then it's going to say to the employee or the injured person, you forgot about this, add that, and it's done. Employee doesn't have to worry about it. HR doesn't even have to chase their employees because it was done so quickly. And sorry about some of the pictures, but basically, as you see here, here's the incident report all done. And then basically it can be sent off. Let me go down. It's just preparing it. And there it is. It's done right there. Everything's done. Help me, end conversation. So again, doing more for less. Something that the HR had to do was chase employees on a regular basis. Employees weren't even filling out these reports when they were hurt. Now all done. So great example of doing more with same. So Brooks, I think we gave the audience a good example of a couple of these doing more for same. We've got dozens of these agents. We can show you. Anyone out there interested, reach out to myself, Chace, or Brooks. We can have a conversation. We call it an art of possible. We go through these use cases. It usually creates light bulb moments for the customers to say, hey, I can apply this in my business. I know recently a pilot has come to us about doing something like that for his airplane fleet. But this is only going to get easier, better, and more capable. And hopefully our customers can understand that you can take these baby steps into putting tools like this in place without fearing that you're going to be doing something that's going to hurt or their organization. So Brooks got a lot of extensive background in the health industries. I think the health down in the States, in Texas, is advanced compared to the ones up here. Ours up here tend to be more waiting for the manufacturers to implement it into their tool set before they invest in the creative ways to make health better. But you've got a lot of experience in health. You've got a lot of experience in oil and gas as well, being from down there, Brooks, right? And one of the big problems that you said is out there is the aging life cycle of the employees. The organization has someone retire. They have to hire them back for twice as much as what they were paying them last week before retirement because they're now a contractor. These are tools where you can take care of that problem that you just said. Educate your younger generation of employees with the skill sets that the older generation had, but had it in their mind, put it into these agentic tools. So with that, I'll come to the end. Brooks, anything you want to say, or Chace, anything you want to finalize? Say, I'll let you guys end the podcast. And I really appreciate, Brooks, your time today on a Friday afternoon. Have a great weekend. I don't know if you celebrate Remembrance Day down there in the States on November 11th. We do up here. So Chace and I will be at the Legion on Tuesday having a beer with the veterans and police and fire. So we're excited about this weekend. And thanks a lot again for your time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, in the States, it's Veterans Day on the 11th, so it's essentially the same. Definitely. My dad was in the military. Lots of family in the military, so absolutely, definitely go drink a beer for them, and always support your military. It's such a, especially in the United States right now, it's kind of a crazy thing going on with government shutdown and so forth. But
Absolutely.
as of the time of this recording, just yesterday, Elon Musk had a shareholders call with Tesla.
Yeah.
And that's a company that's interesting because nobody does their shareholder meetings as like a keynote a keynote presentation. But the thing that really resonated with me, and I think really kind of falls into this, is that he's saying tens of billions of robots are going to be out there. That means like for every human, there's like 10 robots, probably more than that. And that's definitely the future that we're trending towards. And of course, we want that to be more like R2-D2 and not like the Terminator. And I suppose we'll see what that looks like. But we're trending down this world where this is happening regardless. With the population inverting like we've talked about, there needs to be more caregivers for the people that need the help, right? And there's these huge knowledge gaps. There's this brain drain. So in my opinion, I think AI is definitely right place, right time. We're starting to see these investments in these robots in particular. To me, that's like the perfect form factor. You can send a robot into a dangerous scenario and keep the people that have the expertise and the smarts on the outside of the building, right? Like robot firefighters is the one that I always think of as like a huge one, or robot doctors giving everybody like the best care possible. That's something that Elon mentioned yesterday too. But I'll wrap it up by saying that I just think that there's a lot of fear mongering around AI. Some of it's founded, a lot of it's not. And we have to do something. And to me, this is the technology that's going to get us to where we need to be as a human species. And if we don't have it, I think we're in just a huge amount of trouble. But, thanks guys for this. This was a great conversation.
Yeah, I'm super stoked about the future, Brooks. Super stoked that you're working with us now. I'm so excited about the opportunities and the things that you and our team are going to build together and change the world. So everyone out there, reach out to us if you need help. We'd love to help you. And Chace, I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah, that was great, guys. There was some good insights that I really enjoyed listening to, and we'll see you in the next pod then. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. See you, boys.
Thanks.
SaaSberry AI Podcast. Today's guest, Brooks Wood. Doing more with the same size of team. Today's subject is working smarter, not harder.